Me and Redacted went on a walk today and we were going to go down to Redacted, but not through the nature reserve. And then, right as we were about to go down the hill towards the fields, Redacted turns to me and says under his breath, "By the way, just a heads up, that's Redacted." And I immediately just say, "Fuck no, let's turn around." And turn around and start walking back where we came from. I don't even care that Redacted isn't following me yet because I have to get away, and I walk back up to my street and stand by the lamppost. And I'm not emotionally in any distress, but physically I'm full of adrenaline, just thinking how he fucking started striding really confidently up to us like he was gonna have some fucking jolly conversation with us both. Redacted caught up with me and they just asked me if I was okay, and I told them that emotionally I was fine, but physically was feeling the stress. We started walking up the road and I asked Redacted what happened, and they just said that Redacted said, "Okay, I'm just going to walk the other way," and just started walking the other way down to the fields. And I sort of wanted to read this as a sign that he in some way feels guilty, but I asked if Redacted if they think Redacted is aware of what he did to me, and Redacted just said they weren't sure, and then we stopped talking about it because Redacted seemed a bit upset by the whole thing. Anyway, I couldn't talk about it much at the time, and I wanted to talk to my dad about it, but I wasn't sure if it'd be worth the trouble because my dad isn't very good on picking up on things during conversations, and sometimes he sees my venting as me trying to incite tough love, and I just didn't want that. Like, I feel mostly fine, but I'm just angry because I wish I could make sure that Redacted knew what he did was wrong. I want him to be intimidated by me and fear for his freedom. But even if I somehow found a way to communicate that to him, he'd probably just fucking deny it because he was raised in an environment of psychopathic crooks. He's a real bully. I was just thinking about how he had told me that when he was in primary school, he used to bully people that he perceived were weaker than him, and I asked him if it was because he was struggling himself at the time, and he said no, it wasn't. He just liked doing it for fun. In some ways, I'm not really over it, but I am definitely getting there, I think. It's hard to tell, though, honestly. It might have been different if Redacted wasn't there. I'm not sure how I would have reacted. I'd probably just have hoped that he completely ignored me and then cried when I was out of his sight. Or I might have frozen on the spot. Or maybe I'd try to fight him. I actually don't know. I've been thinking a lot recently about how ideally I want to get revenge on him at some point, but realistically I know that's worthless to me. The best possibility out of all of this is that I never have to see him again. I just want to forget him and never see him again. And I mean really never ever see him again. I don't consider having to cross by him on the street not seeing him again because I still have to be reminded about the way he violated me. I'm also facing a lot of conflict around the way he treated me just generally outside of that occasion and realizing it wasn't very good. But then I'm persuading myself that it wasn't that bad because we were nearly the same age anyway. How can it be abuse if they're the same age as you? It's not like it was a creepy older man, but I don't know. I'm sure there are many victims of abuse who dealt with it in a relationship when they were both teenagers. But then I think, well, if it was really abuse, why didn't I realize at the time if it was so terrible? And in my head, I know exactly the things he did that were abusive, but when I try to manifest them into words, it just sounds like nothing too bad. I sort of feel quite guilty for being so weak-minded about it all. Maybe if I was generally a stronger person, then it wouldn't have affected me so badly. Maybe it was a normal relationship and I just couldn't take it, but I don't know. Because the relationship that I'm in now is normal, and nothing has happened that is abusive yet. I only see yet because at this point I expect everyone to be an abuser, and it feels like if I don't put yet, I'm just tempting fate. Redacted is lovely. One of the more pathetic things that I've been worrying about from bumping into Redacted is that I was concerned that he'd think I looked fat. Fat, of all the concerns. I know exactly why I was worrying about it, though, because his favourite version of me when I was at peak anorexia, so I guess I still have some old programming left in, because that's honestly immediately where my mind went to when I was away from the situation. I don't really want to create a conclusion here, but that's stupid, because that's stupid to imply that this is a done and dusted experience. I know full well that what has happened has affected me for the rest of my life, so when I try and cap entries off, it feels really dishonest. I had this idea that I was going to gather up all my notebooks and stuff from whenever I can find and just scan everything and blur out names and then just publish it as a book. And some edgy publishing company can pay for it to be printed. And I can sell it as a piece of art that everyone can own a copy of. And really, it's just my shitty diary entries, but it will probably sell because honestly, I'd probably buy a book of someone else's diary entries because I'm really nosy and would like to see what stuff they have to say.